Hello, welcome back to the last topic of this training, which is training part 5. Today we are going to look after the implementation and evaluation of the training program. All the topics that we are going to discuss in today's class are mentioned here for your reference. Now let's get into the class. So before directly entering into today's class, let us have a quick recap of what all we have been dealing with till now in training. See, we told that this particular training is a huge concept, so we told that we will be breaking down this training into different parts. So basically in the first part of training, we have talked about the basic introduction and the basic framework of training and all these things, basic things. Now from the second part, we started to talk about the different phases in the training framework. Like we discussed about the training needs analysis, and we discussed about the designing of the training program, and we also discussed about the different methods of training. That means the different methods organizations can use or usually uses in order to provide the training to the human resource in the organization. Now the last two phases are there, right? Which is implementation of the training program and evaluation of the training program. We are going to look after those two phases in today's class. See, we have chosen to to study both of these different phases in the single class because basically they are very small concepts. Okay, now getting into today's topic. See, implementation and evaluation of the training program, right? Now let's talk about this implementation part first. See, basically there is not much information to learn about this implementation theoretically, but there are so many different issues that will arise regarding to this implementation in practicality. Now what do I mean? I am telling that, see, theoretically you may not find so much about this particular implementation, but when you go into the real life, when you go into the practicality, this particular implementation is one of the most important phase in the entire training framework. See, this is where you convert your plan into action. That means, see, we have designed a training program, right? Now this is the phase where you ensure that this particular training program designed is delivered in a smooth way without any disturbances. See, there are so many different organizations who are very good in planning, but they fail in delivering the training program according to the plan. So you have to ensure that each and everything goes according to the plan, each and everything goes according to our schedule, and no disturbances no disturbances are caused during the delivery of this particular training program. See, there are so many different issues that we will be facing while the implementation, or that we have to take care during the implementation. Like I'll give you some examples. See, for example, your organization has designed a particular training program and choose to deliver that particular training program using a lecture method. Okay, so basically you are providing training using lecture method, and your organization decided that this particular lecture program should be for like 6 to 7 hours. Now while implementation, you have to look after the time schedules. That means you have to look after the when breaks should be given. That means, see, you cannot call the employees and tell that sit in your same places, this particular trainer will give you lecture for straight 6 to 7 hours and all these things. You cannot do, because you cannot, if you do that, you cannot ensure that the level of involvement and level of commitment and level of interest will be maintained right from the start to the end, after 6 hours 7 hours. So you have to plan certain breaks, right? Now that is one thing that that is one of the example that you do while implementation. The second thing is, see, for example, if you are trying to deliver, or basically if you are choosing to deliver this particular training program in a very big seminar hall, now you also have to take care of the seating arrangements. That means you have to take care that the people who are sitting in the last, or the people who are sitting in the end, are also able to hear and see the trainer and the content of this particular training program in a clear way. In this way, there are so many different things that you take care in this implementation, because this is where you are converting your plan into action. You are delivering the training program that you have created in order to achieve its purpose, that particular training program's purpose. Okay, so this is basically the simple explanation of the concept implementation of the training program. See, theoretically we will not be looking after so much. When we go into the real life, there are so many different things that arise, and that you have to take care in this implementation part. Okay, now moving on to the next part, which is the evaluation of the training program. See, what is the need of evaluation of training program? Why do we need to evaluate the training program? For example, if I'm an organization, and if I, after doing the training needs analysis, if I found that okay, there is this particular training need, I will be designing a particular training program in order to reach these goals, or in order to satisfy these objectives, and I will provide the training. That's it. Why again should I evaluate, telling that okay, how well did this particular training program do? Why should I do that? See, the first and foremost purpose, or first and foremost reason why you have to do, or why you have to concentrate, or why you have to give importance to this particular evaluation phase, is to ensure that the goals are met. See, most of the organizations do not emphasize enough on this particular evaluation training program. That means, you can also read this in certain researchers telling that organizations usually, like, not usually, not each and every organization, but some of the organizations, do not concentrate on this evaluation phase. See, there are so many different reasons why you have to evaluate the training program. See, first and foremost thing, as I already told you, to check if the training program has delivered its output, in sync with the goal set by the organization. That means, see, for example, you are providing training in order to improve the skills. Now you have to check that after this particular training program the skills have improved, because that is why you took in all these investments on all these things, right? That is why you designed a training program. That is why you implemented a training program. You invested so much cost, so much time and all these things, right? First of all, you have to make sure that each and every investment that you have made is justified. That means you have to ensure that this particular training program that you have developed, designed, and implemented did its task, completed its roles and responsibilities. That means achieved its goals. That is the first and foremost thing why evaluation is very important. The second, the second reason or the second thing why evaluation is important, or why you have to look after the evaluation, or why you have to concentrate on the evaluation is, see, for example, you find a particular gap and you designed a training program in order to satisfy that gap, and you implemented the training program. Now you have to you also have to look after the evaluation, because in the future if the same type of gap arises, can you use this particular same training program, yes or no? In order to know this also, you need to evaluate the particular training program. Next, the third thing is why you have to concentrate on evaluation and all these things is, see, if you evaluate the training program that you have developed, and if there are any errors in the training program, that means you miscalculated certain things, and you thought that, okay, this program will help the employees in this particular way. In this way you assumed and you designed a particular training program and you delivered it. Now if that particular program did not match your original thinking, that means you thought that this will satisfy a particular need, this particular training program, so you designed and implemented. Now if that particular training program did not actually satisfy that need or satisfy that goal, now if you do not evaluate, you will not know that, right? Now in future if you again deliver the same program for the same gap, similar kind of gap, now if you had known that this particular training program will not serve that purpose, in the future you can save time, cost, and all these things, right? You can modify, right? That means this evaluation of training program, this phase also helps you to find any scope of improvements, and any errors possible, and all these things, any scope of improvements, or any things where you have to improve, any errors or anything that you have overplanned, anything that you have underplanned. In this way, this evaluation of training program also helps you in these different aspects. So overall, not only these, there are so many different things. See, this is a general concept. When someone asks you why evaluation is important, there are so many different things that you can come up with. Okay, now this is the basic explanation of evaluation of training program. Now see, there are so many different methods that organizations use in order to evaluate a particular training program. Like you have something called as Kirkpatrick's model of evaluation. That is one thing. You also have return on investment model. In this way, there are so many different models which organizations can use in order to evaluate a particular training program, in order to see that how much justification did this particular training program give in reference with our objectives, or in reference with our goals that we need to satisfy. Okay, now the model that we are going to discuss in today's class is something called as Kirkpatrick model of evaluation of training program. Okay, now what is this particular model? What is this Kirkpatrick's model and all these things? See, basically I'm an organization. I did my I have found certain gaps, so I did my training needs analysis to see if training can justify these gaps and all. I came to the answer telling that yes, training is a perfect solution. So I have formulated my goals, and this is all in the first phase of the training framework, training needs analysis. And then in order to justify those objectives or goals that I have observed, I designed a particular training program. This is the second phase. Now once I have decided the training program, I have implemented that particular training program. This is the first, this is the third phase. Now moving on to the evaluation phase. See, I have to see, we have just discussed why evaluation is important and all these things, right? We told that first of all we need to check whether our particular training program has justified or satisfied our goals and objectives for which we have done each and everything of this, right? Now in evaluation, we are about to discuss this Kirkpatrick model of evaluation, right? Now this particular Kirkpatrick's model of evaluation helps you to evaluate your training program in 4 different dimensions, or 4 different components, or 4 different elements. That means simply, if by using this particular method, you are evaluating your training program in 4 different areas, 4 different aspects. Now what are those different aspects? We will be discussing. See, evaluation is nothing but you are basically checking, you are comparing and you are checking whether this particular training program that you have created and delivered, met the objectives, met the goals and all these things. Now, see, this particular Kirkpatrick's model of evaluation is there, right? Now, it evaluates the effectiveness or efficiency of your training program in 4 different elements or 4 different components or 4 different dimensions. What are they? First of all, to give you each and every of those 4 different elements in simple terms, first of all, let us assume that you have created a training program, you have delivered to the human resource in your organization, to the employees. Okay. Now, evaluation means, using this particular method means, you will be evaluating in 4 different components. Now, what are they? First of all, you will be checking their reactions, the employees' reactions. They received the training, right? First of all, you will be checking their reactions, telling that are they satisfied? Did they feel that this particular training has created an improvement? That is one thing. Reactions. The second thing is learnings. That means, did this particular training program create any change in their learning level? Okay, their knowledge, their skills, their their capabilities. Theoretically, we are talking in the brain. Okay, did this particular training create any change in their already present knowledge, skills, capabilities? That means, did they learn anything? This is theoretical. Okay, we are talking about theoretical. Did they learn anything? Learning, we are not talking about application and all these things. We are talking about simple learning. Did they learn anything? And next, the third thing is, you will be checking their behaviors. That means their application part. In the previous part, just learning. In the third, in the third component or the third element, you will be checking their application skills, their behavior, the change in their behavior or the change in the way they they perform the task or they do the job. Okay. And in the last element or the last component, you will be checking the you will be evaluating the change in the company's performance after delivering this particular training program. So I have just given you in simple words. We will be looking after the detailed explanation, telling that how actually organization will evaluate reactions, how actually organization will be evaluating the learnings, behaviors and all these things. See, basically I am trying to tell that this particular Kirkpatrick's model of evaluation evaluates this particular training program in 4 different components: reactions, learning, behavior, outcomes. Now, in reactions, it will be checking that this particular employees have felt that or basically in this particular reactions, this particular model will be concentrating on the reactions of the employees who received the training program. Next, it will be concentrating on in the second component, which is learnings. It will be concentrating on the learning level of the employees after the training program. Next, in the third component, it will be concentrating on the change in the behaviors of the employees after receiving the training program. And in the fourth component, it will be concentrating on the change in the overall outcomes, the organizational outcomes after this training program. Okay. Now, let us see how organizations usually or actually do this. When I say that this particular model helps you to evaluate in terms of reactions, how will you know that this employee is satisfied or not? Now, simply you will directly ask him. You will ask the employees, telling that, okay, you have received this particular training program from the organization. Did you feel that this was helpful? Did you feel that this has improved your knowledge, skills and capabilities? Did you feel that this was useful? Did you feel that this was necessary and not a waste of time? In this way, you will check or you will evaluate the reactions of the employees regarding this particular training program by simply asking them questions. Now, moving on to the second component. When I say that I will be evaluating this particular training program in terms of learning, I will see, simply our aim in this particular element of learning is to check if there is any change in their learning level. I will ask them questions relating to the subject matter taught in the training, and I will put them some written examinations on all these things. Simple way. Now, the third component, that means when I say that I will be evaluating this particular training program, that means basically I am trying to see that did this particular training program bring any change in the way they used to do the job. Okay. Now we can basically ask them by please come here and show me a demo. That means here you are asking them to apply the knowledge that this particular training program has given them. In this way, you can evaluate, you can check if this particular training program has brought a change in their behaviors. At last, the fourth component, that means when I say that I will be evaluating this particular training program in outcomes, outcomes point of view or outcomes element or outcomes component, I will just see the changes in the outcome previously, before the training program is delivered and after the training program is delivered. So this is practically how organizations use this particular model in order to check the effectiveness or efficiency, or basically to evaluate the training program that you have designed and delivered in terms of these four elements. Okay, now let's look at the theory part of this particular Kirkpatrick's model of evaluation. See, we have discussed about implementation. We told that, see, regarding this implementation part, there is not much theoretical part, that you have to concentrate on. But when you go to practicality, there are so many different issues that will arise, or so many different issues that you have to take care of in reality. That is basically this implementation part. Now this evaluation part is there, right? Now we told that, see, evaluation in organizations regarding a particular training program can be done using so many different models. And you have return on investment model, you have cost model, you have this particular Kirkpatrick's model of evaluation. So Kirkpatrick's model of evaluation is one of the most commonly used methods, so we have chosen this method today. Now we told that this particular Kirkpatrick's model of evaluation helps to evaluate a training program in 4 different elements, or 4 different components, or 4 different dimensions. First one is called as reactions. That means the change in the reactions. That means the employees' reactions about, or basically in simple terms, how did the employees feel about this particular training program. That is the first component. Second thing is learning. What changes did this particular training program brought in their learning levels. Now the third one is their behaviors. What change did this particular training program brought in their way of performing the job, in the way they apply this particular knowledge that they have learned from the training program. The fourth one is the change in the outcomes, or the change in the results, okay, the productivity and all these things after this particular training program is delivered. Okay, now let's look at the theory part of this particular Kirkpatrick's model of evaluation. So still in the 4th unit, training, and the last part of training, which is implementation and evaluation of the training program. Okay, now see, after we have completed the training, we want to make sure that our training objectives are met. Now one model to measure the effectiveness of training is the Kirkpatrick's model. Okay, his model has 4 levels. Okay, so we are telling that there are so many different methods, or basically we have chosen the most commonly used method, which is Kirkpatrick's model of evaluation. Always remember to check the spelling of this particular Kirkpatrick's model of evaluation, because most of the people get wrong in the spelling, trust me. Now we told that this model has 4 levels, or in simple terms, this model evaluates the training program in 4 dimensions, or 4 levels, or 4 elements, or 4 components. Okay, the first one is reaction. That is, how did the participants react to the training program. Okay, the second one is learning. To what extent did participants improve their knowledge and skills theoretically. Now in terms of behavior, the third level is behavior. Did behavior change as a result of training. Now the fourth one is results, or the fourth level, or the fourth component, or the fourth dimension is results. What benefits to the organization resulted from the training. So basically this model helps us to evaluate in these 4 levels, or these 4 components, or these 4 different dimensions. Now each of the Kirkpatrick's levels can be assessed using a variety of methods. We will discuss those next. Now what again, what are these methods? See, I told you, right, if you want to just check whether the employees are satisfied or not, you just ask them, or you just create a survey. Now if you want to check that the knowledge or the skills level have been improved after the training program, that is the learning level, or the learning dimension, or learning concept, you just put a written test, you just create an interview, you just ask random questions relating to the subject. In this way, there are so many different methods in each level. Okay, now see, this is a diagrammatic representation of the same different levels. In reaction, you will be looking how did the participants react. Next will come the learning. To what extent did the participants improve their knowledge, skills, abilities, and all these things. Next you will be having behavior. Did the behavior change as a result of training. And last one is results. Did the training give the expected results. So this diagram is there, right? This is what you basically do in Kirkpatrick's model of evaluation. So in these 4 different levels, or these 4 different components, you evaluate. So now let's look at the theory part. See, review the performance of the employees who received the training, and if possible, review the performance of those who did not receive the training. See, one of the most easy thing to see if this particular training has brought any changes to compare 2 different employees, among which one person received the training and one person did not receive the training. That is the easiest thing, right? Now, for example, in your orientation training, let's take an example where you have provided an orientation training, and you train the employees, telling that if you want to apply for a leave using the company's website, company's intranet, how do you do? For example, if you have delivered a training program relating to this aspect. Now if one of the learning objectives was to able to request time off using the company's intranet, just an example, and several employees who attended the training come back and ask for clarification on how to perform this task, That means you have delivered training. Till now you have given the training telling that how to request a time off or how to apply for a leave. Now, even after the delivery of the training program, all the employees or most of the employees come to you and tell that, sir, how do you actually apply the leave? Then what is the purpose of the training program? Now, it may mean that the training didn't work as well as you might have thought, right? Now, in this case, it is important to go back and review the learning objectives and the content of your training program to ensure it can be more effective in the future. Okay, this is one theoretical aspect relating to evaluation. We have talked about why evaluation should be important, right? So this is one example which also tells you that why you have to do evaluation. Now, many trainers also ask people to take informal, anonymous surveys after the training to gauge the training. Okay. Now, another option is to require a quiz at the end of the training to see how well the employees understand what you are trying to teach them. Now, from now we are basically talking about the different things. We told, right, in different levels you can do different things in order to check if if the training program is effective or has been effective in that particular area, right? So we have from now on we will be talking all those things randomly. See, I'm reading this again. Many trainers also ask people to take informal or anonymous surveys after the training to gauge the training. Okay, we told, right, in order to check the reaction, you can simply put a survey or simply ask them telling that how did you feel about this training program? Did you feel this training program is helpful to you and all these things. Now, another option is to require a quiz at the end of the training to see how well the employees understand what you were trying to teach them. Now, the quiz should be developed based on the learning objectives you set for the training. Here, in this particular quiz and all these things, here we are telling to check the effectiveness of this particular training program in learning point of view. Now, there are a number of online tools, some free, to develop quizzes and send them to people attending your training. Once developed by the trainer, the quiz can be emailed to each participant and the manager can see how each trainee did on the final quiz. Now, by this way, after conducting a quiz, basically the trainer, not only the trainer, the employer can also have a clear picture of how many or basically how good the training program was, or how good the trainer was able to deliver the training program, or how good the entire material got into the brain of these particular human resource who are being trained. Now, after you see how participants do on the quiz, you can modify the training for the next time to highlight areas where participants need improvement. Okay. Now, it can be easy to forget about this step in the training process. See, we told, right, see, most of the companies do not concentrate enough on this evaluation part, right? See, it can be easy to forget about this step in the training process because usually we are so involved with the next task, we forget to ask questions about how something went and then take steps to improve it. One way to improve the effectiveness of training program is to offer rewards when employees meet training goals. Okay. Now, for example, if the budget allows, a person might receive a pay increase or other reward for each level of training completed. So this is basically the theory part of this entire implementation and evaluation of training program. I am again telling you, there is no much theoretical information about this implementation part because it is entirely a practical real life concept. Okay. Now we have also discussed telling that okay, there are so many different things that you have to concentrate while implementing, because that is where you are basically converting your plan into action. You are delivering the training. Till now you have the training program with you. Now you are basically spreading out or distributing or basically putting that particular designed training program into action. You are basically delivering it. Now you have to ensure that it is done in a smooth process and without any disturbances. That is implementation part. Whereas evaluation, we told that there are so many different methods. We will be considering the most common use method. It will be basically evaluating the particular training program in different aspects or different levels. These different levels are these, and you use these, you do these kind of things in this particular level. You do these kind of things in order to collect information in this particular level. In this way, we have discussed this Kirkpatrick's model of evaluation of training program. So basically these are the last two phases in the training framework, and this is the last part relating to the training. By here or by this class we will wind up this training unit. So we started with the introduction and then we moved on to the different levels or different phases in the training framework, and we discussed about each and every phase in a different video, and we also had a different video for this particular topic called as different training methods. So this is basically the training part. See, from the next class onwards, see, remember when we were talking about this particular concept of training methods, we told that there are certain methods like coaching, mentoring and all these things, which we will be discussing in detail later, right? So from the next unit we will be talking about coaching, mentoring, counseling and all those things. So we'll stop here. This has been today's class. Thank you.